For watching. It seems only like yesterday when Mitt Romney was on Fox News talking about the political philosophy of responding to attacks.
I, of course, respond to the attacks that come, but you know, they say in politics, if you're responding, you're losing.
Romney and his campaign had a lot of responding to do today. The Boston Globe expanded on the reporting by Talking Points memo and Mother Jones, only to find out that Mitt Romney was the top dog at Bain Capital 3 years after he said he left. According to the report, a Massachusetts financial disclosure form Romney filed in 2003 clearly states that he still owned 100% of Bain Capital in 2002, and Romney's state financial disclosure forms indicate he earned at least $100,000 as a Bain executive in 2001 and 2002, separate from his investment earnings. Now, the report also drops this bombshell. A Romney campaign official who requested anonymity to discuss the SEC filings acknowledged that they do not square with common sense. Until now, Romney has protected himself politically from any Bain business practices after he left the company. Romney always says that he left the company in 1999 except for this one time.
I worked at one company, BAIN, for 25 years, and I left that to go off and help save the Olympic Games.
Okay, let's see if we can do a little bit of math here tonight on the Ed Show. Mitt Romney started in Bain in 1977. 25 years later, well, doggone it, that takes us to 2002. According to Mitt Romney and his camp, the candidate didn't make any decisions for Bain after 1999. He only benefited financially from them. Well, his campaign spokeswoman, Andrea Saul, released this statement today. Governor Romney left Bain Capital in February of 1999 to run the Olympics and had no input on investments or management of the companies after that point. Another campaign aide told Politico Romney wasn't involved in any investment decisions. He was on the SEC filings because he still was technically the owner, but just hadn't transferred ownership to the other partners. Well, history paints a very different picture. David Korn of Mother Jones uncovered a February 1999 Boston Herald report about Romney leaving for the Olympics. Romney said he will stay on as part-timer with Bain, providing input on investment in key personnel decisions. Well, in July of 1999, Romney was identified as the boss in a Bain press release about the departure of two executives. Bain Capital CEO W. Willard, that means, Mitt Romney, currently on part-time leave of absence to head the Salt Lake City Olympic Committee for the 2002 Games, said, "While we will miss Jeff and Mark, we wish them well and look forward to working with them as they build their new firm." Well, Romney was on part-time leave for 3 years. All the while, he collected a paycheck and benefited from the company's investments. Today, Bain Capital is now in the mix. They explain this 3-year gap. Why are they in the news all of a sudden? Well, they said today, due to the sudden nature of Mr. Romney's departure, he remained the sole stockholder for a time while formal ownership was being documented and transferred to the group of partners who took over management of the firm in 1999. Bain does not explain why it took 3 years to transfer management. For 3 years, Mitt Romney was legally liable as the CEO of Bain Capital. Obama campaign staffers held a conference call with reporters to underscore the seriousness of this discrepancy.
Either Mitt Romney, through his own words and his own signature, was misrepresenting his position at Bain to the SEC, which is a felony, or he was misrepresenting his position at Bain to the American people to avoid responsibility for some of the consequences of his investment. And if that's the case, if he was lying to the American people, then that's a real character and trust issue that the American people need to take very seriously.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid also brought up the trust issue when asked about Mitt Romney today.
He not only couldn't be confirmed as a cabinet secretary, he could be confirmed as dog catcher, because a dog catcher, you at least don't want to look at his income tax returns. And what's the long report we have in the Boston Globe today indicates that as one of his own employees said, it doesn't make sense.
Obama advisor David Axelrod retweeted an article from Business Insider entitled, "Sorry, Mitt Romney, you can't be chairman, CEO, and president of a company and not be responsible for what it does." Most people understand the buck stops with the boss. Does it at your place? But it never seems to stop with Mitt Romney, does it? Today, the Romney campaign kicked off an advertising blitz calling President Obama a liar for the attacks on Romney's time at Bain Capital.
When a president doesn't tell the truth, how can we trust him to lead? The Obama outsourcing attacks, misleading, unfair, and untrue.
They are just using a rove tactic there, and they are attacking where they are weak. But it was Romney who was not being honest about his Bain career. Mitt Romney made a lot of money being in charge of a company and claiming that he had no responsibility at the same time. Most people have responsibilities when they sign their names onto things like employment documents. This is just the latest secret Mitt Romney hasn't fully explained. He won't explain his offshore finances. He won't release more than one tax return. He claims, and all of his claims actually, about his business contradict his legal filings with the Security Exchange Commission. The rules that apply to, say, you and me, they just don't seem to apply to Mitt Romney whatsoever, do they? It's an issue of trust, and it's an issue of character. You be the judge. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: would you ever hire someone who lied on their resume? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. You can go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We have the results for you, the poll, later on in the program. I'm joined tonight by Benji Sarlin, political reporter for Talking Points Memo. Benji, good to have you with us tonight. Great reporting. Let's cut right to it. Did Mitt Romney have any involvement in Bain Capital between 1999 and 2002?
Well, depends on what you call involvement. He was certainly involved in the sense that if you look at dozens of SEC filings, he's listed as the sole stockholder, as the chairman of the board, as the CEO. His principal occupation as late as mid-2001 is listed as a managing director at the company. In the sense of a day-to-day role, there's not a lot of information. It's actually pretty vague, but it's really a question of what you consider responsibility here. If the company that you are still the sole owner of, and which there is nothing preventing you from checking in on or watching from a public distance or visiting your old partners, if there's nothing preventing you from checking in on it, are you accountable for their decisions? The Obama campaign says it's just definitively yes, regardless of what his day-to-day role was.
Well, the Obama campaign is saying yes because he would be legally liable, would he not, as the head of a company if they were to have any kind of legal issues whatsoever? His name's on the paper. He's on the payroll. He's taking profits from the company. How can he not be connected legally?
Well, it's certainly what they're saying to the SEC in all those files, that Romney's the owner, Romney's the CEO, Romney's the chairman. The buck stops with him.
So their argument right now at Bain is, hey, he was out doing the Olympic thing. In fact, he was probably even playing a little bit of golf along the way. We really didn't have anything to do with the operations, but on the paper, he's the man, correct?
That seems to be pretty much what they're saying, yes.
All right, Benji, great reporting. Great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. Now let's turn to Ben LeVault, National Press Secretary for the Obama campaign 2012. Well, there's a lot for you guys to talk about. You're going right at it. How do you respond to the Romney campaign's defense of the candidate today?
Well, you know, Mitt Romney is holding himself to a double standard because he claims credit for jobs created by these companies that Bain acquired during his tenure, jobs that are created to date. But he won't accept responsibility for transactions that he was involved with for companies that shipped jobs overseas and went bankrupt with workers losing their jobs and their pensions and their health care benefits. And so he has furiously tried to extract himself from these 3 years, 1999 through 2001. Now, he was CEO, chairman of the board, sole owner, and sole shareholder. We're supposed to believe that he didn't have any involvement with any of these companies. You know, a new report has emerged tonight. In sworn testimony in 2002, Romney said that he left Salt Lake to travel back to Massachusetts to appear at board meetings. And so the suggestion that he's not involved in any of this, that he's legally responsible but not personally responsible, simply isn't credible.
Okay, so this is a new piece of information. There's a legal document saying that he left the games and went back to take care of business with BAIN?
So, sworn testimony in 2002. Now, the Romney campaign has admitted that one of the companies where he appeared at the board meetings was a company that had been acquired by BAIN.
Okay.
But
well, then that's clear contradiction of the filings then, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Now, the Romney campaign wants President Obama to apologize for Stephanie Cutter's remarks that you heard earlier, we played on that conference call, about Mitt Romney either being a liar or a potential felon. Will there be an apology?
There won't be. You know, Mitt Romney has been telling voters since he ran for office in Massachusetts that he left BAIN in 1999, and the Boston Globe reported today that that wasn't true. That was their first response. Their second response seems to be informing the Drudge Report that suddenly there's a new frontrunner for their vice presidential
Well,
nominee.
that tonight is being reported by Drudge, as you said, that Condi Rice is now on the top of the short list. It almost seems as if Mitt Romney and the Romney camp wants this story to go away really fast. Will this intensify for Mitt Romney to be transparent about his finances and release more of his taxes? I mean, how does he make this go away?
Well, that's how he could clear up these questions and answer these questions. You know, his own father released 12 years' worth of tax returns. We know his tax returns are available. He provided John McCain with 23 years worth of returns when he was being vetted for vice president.
All right, now,
but he won't share those with the American people.
All right. Now, what about claims that the Obama campaign has lied regarding Mitt Romney's role at BAIN?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, their response spot today relied on the claim that Mitt Romney left BAIN in 1999, and we now know that that's not true. But in terms of the outsourcing claims generally, let's take a look at companies that were acquired by BAIN during Romney's tenure there. Modus Media eliminated jobs in California and Washington State as it created them in China. Stream International took a look at call center sites around the United States, determined not to create American jobs here because wage costs were too high. They went to India instead.
Yeah. So here is the key that I think you want the country to know. Is that Mitt Romney has been running around the country saying that he knows how this economy works. He's been running around the country telling people that he can manage the economy a lot better than President Obama, that he's all about creating jobs. Yet when he was at the helm of Bain Capital, and there's discrepancy of exactly whether he was or he wasn't, you're saying that he was shipping jobs overseas.
That's exactly right, and this is run throughout his career. In Massachusetts, he vetoed legislation that would have prevented outsourcing, and while the president is fighting to end tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas, the tax plan he has on the table has additional incentives in it for companies to outsource.
All right. Well, there will be Judgment Day coming up in November. Ben LeBolt, good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Remember